Welcome back to the deep dive. So, our source material today is a little unusual.
Yeah, just a bit. It's not a policy paper or some big economic forecast. It's actually an extremely simple text,
Yeah.
an easy English lesson.
Hmm.
It just describes one person's New Year's experience.
Right.
And at first glance, you might think, well, it's just for teaching language. But what we think we have here is kind of a blueprint for universal human behavior.
It really is.
So our mission today is to look right past that deliberately simple language and pull out the structural philosophy. We want to extract those universal cultural themes, the emotional framework of January 1st and, the whole psychology of a fresh start. We're basically treating a language lesson like a piece of minimalist wisdom.
Okay.
Let's unpack this.
And that's the perfect way to look at it. I mean, simple narratives are often the most powerful containers for really complex human ideas.
Things like reflection, hope, renewal. They're all distilled here into their most basic, relatable form. Instead of being overwhelmed by, complicated goal-setting systems, we get to see how these deep ideas function when they're stripped all the way down.
Okay, so let's start with the setup. Let's focus on the narrator, who we'll call Alex, and that key transition point. The new year starts January 1st, obviously, but Alex's New Year's Eve was, well, it was decidedly anticlimactic.
Yeah, very much so.
We all know that pressure of New Year's Eve, the massive party, the spectacle, this feeling that the moment has to be huge.
Right.
Alex did the exact opposite. Stayed home, made some dinner, watched TV. It was a very quiet kind of anticipation.
That quietness is the first critical insight here. Alex just bypassed that whole frantic cultural pressure to be, maximalist on December 31st.
They really did.
They set the stage for introspection, not for distraction. They just said, Happy New Year at midnight. And that was it. That was the transition. And what's fascinating is what happens right after, on January 1st itself.
Yeah.
We're given a very specific detail. Alex woke up late. New Year's Day was quiet.
And this detail feels critical. The sky was clear.
It is. It's so important. That clarity and that quietness, they really define the mental shift.
Okay.
Alex notes that the previous year was explicitly busy. So you get this immediate stark contrast. A busy, tiring year ending with a restful, late morning wake up under a clear sky.
It's like the external environment is mirroring the internal goal.
Exactly. The environment, quiet, clear, restful, is actively chosen to counter the chaos of the last 12 months. It provides the perfect psychological foundation for reflection, which then allows for genuine renewal. You just can't thoughtfully plan a new direction if you're starting from a place of exhaustion.
That's a great way to put it. It sounds like a deliberate cognitive reset designed to maximize focus. And this calm setup leads us straight into the internal work, right? The emotional inventory.
Yeah, Alex took the time to actually look back. And the summary of the last year is remarkably balanced, especially considering how busy it was.
Right, it wasn't all bad.
Not at all. Alex felt tired sometimes, but also happy sometimes. It wasn't framed as a year of failure. It was a year of effort.
And the core takeaway from all that effort was learning many new things. So it wasn't a year to regret, just a year that demanded a huge amount of energy. But the critical part is what came next. After reflecting on the fatigue and the learning, the New Year feelings were defined as calm and hopeful.
And that emotional progression is the entire engine of the fresh start. The desire to do better isn't coming from guilt or panic. It's coming directly from recognizing the pace of the last year was just exhausting.
So Alex wants a better process, not just more results.
That's it exactly.
I do wonder, though, if calm is a little too passive. When we talk about transformative change, we often hear about the need for this intense, almost frenetic drive. Is calm maybe too gentle for the kind of ambition many of us feel?
That's a necessary challenge, but I think the source is actually redefining calm here.
Way.
It's not passive. It's more like intentional control.
Okay.
If you start your goal-setting journey from a place of frenzy, you're building a system that runs on adrenaline, and adrenaline is finite.
It burns out.
It always burns out. A calm and hopeful start implies that the mindset itself is the foundation. It means that the effort is going to be sustainable, not explosive. So this raises a question for you, the listener. Whether you're prepping for a big project or trying to learn a new skill, does that emotional intention starting from a place of calm readiness matter more than the sheer number of goals you write down? Alex's story really suggests that the mindset is the only thing that ensures you'll actually stick with it. And that deliberate choice of a calm mindset transitions us perfectly into the practical side of it, the philosophy of the simple goal. Alex sits down with a notebook, and the goals are just incredibly accessible. They're foundational habits, really. Yeah, what were they?
Wake up early, eat healthy food, and practice English every day.
These are such low barrier to entry habits. They're not about some revolutionary performance. They're about establishing behavioral minimums.
Okay.
If you connect this to modern behavioral science, these are the tiny, repeatable actions that, when you stack them together, create massive change.
And the crucial detail is the explicit statement that Alex did not write many goals, only simple ones. I think we need to linger here for a second because this is an intentional act of simplification. It runs completely counter to so much of modern productivity culture. We're told to write 50 goals, use complex tracking systems, plan every minute. Alex just rejects that.
Completely rejects it. The source implicitly champions a minimalist approach. The understanding is that trying to change everything at once ensures you change nothing.
Just spread your willpower too thin.
Exactly. By focusing only on these three foundational things, time management, health, skill development, they guarantee their willpower is concentrated. It's like a minimum viable effort, but applied consistently.
But the most innovative point in the entire source, for me, is the inclusion of a non-performance goal, the psychological safety net.
Oh, yeah. I also want to be kind to myself.
Yes.
That line is the difference between a New Year's resolution that dies on January 15th and a sustainable lifestyle change. That clause is the ultimate safeguard.
It injects self-compassion directly into the process. And the explicit belief stated right after is so important. The new year is not about being perfect. Alex preempts that inner critic by acknowledging, I know I will make mistakes, and then follows it with, that is okay.
That is okay.
That three-word phrase is the secret weapon. It completely transforms failure from a reason to quit into just a moment of recalibration.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture of sustained learning in any field, whether it's learning to code or a language or study for an exam, the biggest threat isn't the difficulty of the material.
No.
It's the self-criticism that makes you abandon the whole effort after one stumble.
Right.
This simplicity and, more importantly, this forgiveness. These are the core components of sustainable change. When you build self-compassion into the framework of your goals, you don't quit. You just reset and go back to the simple, achievable steps.
And the result of this forgiving foundational mindset is that Alex ends up feeling ready, positive, excited for new days. It's an excitement that comes not from some burst of inspiration, but from a really grounded, achievable plan. So let's look at the final section of the source. It wraps up with 5 practice phrases, which are meant for language reinforcement, but for us, they act as these synthesized key takeaways.
They're the absolute distillation of Alex's entire psychological journey.
They really are. It's a concise 5-step psychological roadmap that anyone can use to structure their own reflection.
So let's walk through them, okay? The first one sets the stage. The new year's a fresh start. That's the symbolic clean slate, the universal human desire for a reset button. It just gives you permission to move on. Then next, you have to acknowledge the past state, which you need to do to set a new direction. Last year was busy. By validating the effort and the fatigue of the previous period, you justify the need for change without falling into shame or regret. It's just an observation, which leads you right to the intention. This year, I want to improve. This moves from a general feeling to a directional mindset. It's the desire to upgrade the process. And then you get the practical focus, the specific action item, which makes that abstract intention totally concrete. My goal is to practice English.
And that can stand in for any measurable, repeatable action. What's the small, concrete thing you're actually going to do?
Exactly. And finally, we circle right back to the resulting emotion, which closes the loop. I feel hopeful about the future. It's a complete psychological cycle. Recognition of the past, declaration of the symbolic opportunity, setting an intention, picking a concrete action, and then articulating the positive emotion that comes from it.
It's a beautifully concise, self-sustaining formula.
It is. We took this simple language source, and what we found inside was a really robust theory of behavioral change, rooted in minimalist effort and maximum self-compassion.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it seems like the most important philosophical lesson we've extracted is that focus on small, simple, and self-compassionate efforts.
Yeah, rather than these overwhelming, complex, or perfect demands we put on ourselves, the source teaches that the durability of a habit is so much more important than the intensity of the initial effort.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Well, when you approach any new challenge, a new field of knowledge, a major project that feels overwhelming, just remember Alex's philosophy. When the force says to use simple sentences, What it really means is break the challenge down into the simplest possible low-stakes steps. And when it says to take your time, it's just reinforcing that initial feeling of being calm and hopeful. That quiet, deliberate approach is the key to longevity. The most powerful mantra Alex gave us was that life is about trying again. So, given that acceptance of our own inevitable imperfection, think about this. What small, imperfect goal should you choose to revisit or start again today? Use those themes of calm and hopeful reflection that Alex embraced. And instead of demanding perfection from yourself, just ask, what is the one thing I can do simply, and what is my own 3-word phrase, my own, that is okay, that will let me sustain the effort when I inevitably stumble? Start there.